Hello and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me tonight. My name's Kayne, if you haven't seen me before, and today for our U vs U challenge, I'm going to talk you through, especially if you're new to exercise, where to start. So some people have started the challenge, they've chosen to do a physical goal. We want to make sure that you're not starting or you're not reaching too far, essentially. We're not asking you to go too far. We shouldn't expect that you're going to be able to run a marathon if you've never run 5Ks before. So we will, I'll just take over what we're going to touch on tonight. It will be pretty quick, I think, so we'll get through most of this pretty quick. So we'll touch on obviously where to start and what that looks like. Hopefully we can make that picture a little bit clearer for you. Progressive overload, so we don't need to start where we're going to finish. We've got 6 weeks to get to our goal. So how do we progressively overload our training to get there? And obviously, when do I know when I'm doing too much? We'll touch on that as well. If you are here, remember, please put any questions that you have in the comments. I'll try to answer them as quick as possible. So again, we're going to go back to a slide that we've seen before in the first and second info sessions. And only because we're going to focus on the achievable. Is your goal achievable? And you'll find that out pretty quickly if you've done your planning already. So example would be your 10K run. If you've never run 1 kilometer before, let's roll back to 5 to make that achievable for you. So we'll go to the next one. So we're just a little graphic here. So what's achievable? For week 1, we don't expect you to jump to this second stack of books because our goal's here. So we can't get there in 1 week. We're going to go weeks 2 and 3 before we get to weeks 3 and 4. Before we get to weeks 5 and 6. So we don't expect you to jump to the second one because you'll probably fall over. We want you to jump here or step here first before you move on to the next one. Hey Helen, nice to see you. So we're not overreaching, okay? Let's take those small steps. So with these graphics, we've got a sedan versus a F1. We've got a little fella versus a big fella. So if your goal is achievable, if you're a sedan, let's say you're new to exercise and you're the sedan, you can't be expected to win a race against a Ferrari. So choose your goals. Again, if you're the Ferrari, we don't want you to choose a goal that you're going to do easily and you're going to beat the sedan. Or you can be the big fella, little fella. It's up to you. But we want you to stay in your own weight division is essentially the message here. So apples and oranges, we want to make sure we're comparing both. So choosing your goal that isn't too far reaching. Okay, that's the moral of the story here. So I'll take you through to what progressive overload looks like. So ideally, what happens is this is your baseline, and if you have your workout, there's a bit of fatigue, naturally, because that's the whole point of having a workout. The next part, so there's a rest period here, and what your body does is it overcompensates for the workout. So it realizes that you want to work at a higher intensity, and it realizes, it gives you this point here where it's going to be better than it was before. Now, if you don't train for the next week or 2 weeks, eventually that'll taper off and you're back to where you started. But if we go to the next one, you'll see if we get our timings right, progressive overload looks like our workout, a super compensation, and then if you time your second workout right here, you obviously get your fatigue, but you will rebound further again from your baseline. Okay, so that is what progressive overload looks like in a perfect world. All right, it's a pretty simple concept, but obviously, we'll go to the next one. Yeah, so this is our perfect storm of super compensation. After our workout, we get our super compensation, and that tapers off if we don't do anything else. I'll show you the next one. So if you're a Ferrari, oh, hang on, let's go here. No, you're right. I forgot about this bit. If you're doing too much, all right, so we'll skip to that one quickly and we'll go back to super compensation. If you happen too quickly and you don't have your rest and you're trying to achieve your goals too quickly, if you're trying to get 10Ks out but you don't have the capacity, so you try and put more either intensity or just more frequency of your training, you're not going to get the benefits of the first workout because you've done your second one and you fatigued the body even further. Maybe you do a third one, you fatigue the body even further, and you're getting further away from your goal. Okay, so like I said, we've got 6 weeks to get to our goal, whatever that is for you. Today we're talking physical goals. So we don't need to rush. If you plan your 6 weeks with the plan that we've given you, you can plan your training sessions around your 10Ks. So you don't need to try and get too much done too quickly, because this will happen and you'll lose gains rather than get closer to your goal. So the next one's going to be if you're a Ferrari versus a sedan. So we'll go next. Yep. So if you're a Ferrari versus sedan and your training session isn't that great, because you can do 20Ks now, but you're training for a 10K, you're actually not going to get so much benefit from that training session, because you're already at the next, I guess, stage. All right, so you should be training for a 25, 30K, let's say. In theory, you don't have to. But this is if you're the Ferrari, or if you're the big sumo versus the little guy, your training sessions will look less intense, and therefore the benefits will be smaller as well. Okay, so you can do it that way, but you're just not going to get the results in that 6 weeks, is the idea. And then the last one, if you go really hard and you go, I want to do a 10K run in my 6 weeks, and you do 8 to 10Ks in your first training session, you get it done, but you really deplete your body. That's going to take a much longer time to get back to your baseline, and you may not get any benefit or super compensation from that. So there is a sweet spot here that you want to be right in the middle and get your loads right. That's where we come in. So if you do have those questions, please let us know. Hey Rach, nice to see you log in. So be careful and be conscious of you being the Ferrari or you being the sedan versus the Ferrari and trying to do too much too early, because that's actually going to push you further away from your goal. Okay, so be conscious of that. And then next slide, what we're going to talk about is this peak. So if you get to that point, you are going to be in a world of hurt as well. So there's going to be a longer period of recovery. You're going to be feeling it. What will happen, you might get put off your training as well. All right, so we'll go next, because this poor guy, he's in a bit of trouble. So if you're doing too much, you may feel these things. And I'm going to point out that you may feel these things normally. It's not abnormal to feel these, but it's abnormal to feel persistent muscle soreness rather than just general muscle soreness. You may be overtired. So you'll obviously be tired from your big training session you just did, but you get to sleep and you can't actually get to sleep because your body's still got a lot of hormones running around trying to do its work to catch up on what you just put it through. So you may feel overtired. Your sleep will be poor because you'll be harder to get to sleep. You won't get into that deeper sleep that you need as well. There'll be a decreased immunity. That's harder to see or feel. But in this climate at the moment, it's probably an important one to be aware of. So if you're overtraining and ask too much of your body and it takes too long to recover, there'll be a point where you'll have a decreased immunity and be more susceptible to disease. And the last point there is you'll have a lower drive to actually go back and do your training session. So that'll put you back even further away from your goal if you really are not motivated, because that is the whole point of our challenge. We want to keep you motivated for 6 weeks. If you go too hard too early, that may be a deterrent of that. So in a nutshell, that is what we're trying to say here, is make sure that you stay in your lane, essentially, and choose your weight class before you start your training. Use your 6-week planner. Start with the first step. So remember, we're not jumping to the second stack of books. We're going to the first one first before we get to the second one. So weeks 2 and 3 before weeks 3 and 4. What did I say then? 2 and 3 before 4 and 5. Yes. Follow your plan. So use that planner. It's really important. It's a great tool to use for the 6 weeks. It'll set you up. So follow your plan. So if you haven't done that already, please do. If you need help, let us know. Give us a question. And progressive overload. So on that planner, you can use the weeks 1 and 2 as your block, 3 and 4 as another block, and then 5 and 6 can be your third block, where your training loads can vary. So you can make them more frequent. You can increase the time or the intensity of your workouts over the 6 weeks, but we don't want you to jump to week 5 and 6 while you're in week 2. Okay, so just be careful of that. Listen to your body. So if you do a training session, you are a little bit sore, that is abnormal. Soreness is normal in a workout, but if it's abnormal and you really can't move very well, maybe go with a yoga. Jump on gel anywhere, do a yoga, settle down a little bit before you do a big intense training session. and continue to watch our gel bite sessions with Marina, Saturdays and Mondays, Marina and Soph, sorry, Saturdays and Mondays. These info sessions, we've got a few more different topics coming up on the, what are we today? Wednesdays and Fridays. So please stay tuned. If you're watching this back on a later date, please put your questions in the comments either now, and we will address them in the next info session. But do we have any questions in there, Chris? No? Oh, that was too easy. Too easy. So just to wrap it up, like this page, stay in your lane, choose your weight class. All right, so if your physical goal is a 10K run, make sure that you plan for that. All right, you don't need to be running 10Ks in weeks 2 and 3. Okay, you got 6 weeks to get there. Again, shout out, let us know any questions. But until I see you next time, please stay safe. When going out in public as well, please chuck your mask on, stay safe, look after each other, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.